All right, with this quarantine going on, big concerns we have are the number of injury rates going up once we get past the quarantine. So we got key things for our parents, athletes, and coaches that you want to concentrate on to make sure you're ready to go when the quarantine's lifted and we can get closer than 6 feet.
The Strength of America podcast.
All right, guys, welcome back to episode 62 of the SOA podcast. Bob Davis.
Bobby Davis.
And yeah, we're kind of a little close, but we'll make it through the quarantine thing. Should have had masks on, I guess.
Family.
Yeah, we got the same genes, huh?
That's right.
From my loins. Okay, here we go. Take two. All right, guys, going in today. Really big thing I want to think about is I saw an interesting meme went across the internet with Instagram had something was great. Yeah. Kind of put things in perspective. The NFL typically has about 5 Achilles tendon ruptures in the entire season, which one is too many, but 5 in an entire season, it's one of the things. Now, we saw this thing came out that showed that 2011, when they had the lockout, the guys were off for 18 weeks. So they couldn't work with their athletic trainers. They couldn't work with a strength coach, performance coach, sports coach. We know that workouts were sent out. They always do. We're going to take care of the guys. But once they came back after that 18 weeks, in the first month, there were 12 Achilles tendon ruptures. And 10 of those were in the first 12 days. So, and this is the pros. This is top level in. So it made me kind of think a little bit about, boy, when these guys have time off, these kids are used to going sport to sport or staying one sport year round. And when the coaches get them, they're typically either just coming off a sport or they've still been training, getting ready to go. So coming off this time where these guys, a lot of them are going to be 8 weeks, 12 weeks off of their weight room stuff, or even if they are doing the weight room, they're doing some squats, it's still not the same as if they were there with their coach watching some of the smaller things. Maybe not the same load, but we know most of the injuries happen from decelerating, stopping, landing, pivoting, hard contraction, making contact, and then moving. And that's what concerns me so much about these kids not being ready to go when they come in. So what are some things maybe that as an athlete that they can be looking for right now, Bobby, that they can do on their own and instead of just laying low and doing nothing?
I think some of the biggest things I've seen from a lot of strength and conditioning coaches is just, sprint, jump, and throw, and do that every day. Okay. Or if not, at least 5 days a week. The intensity is like you'd be able to hit in the weight room, and some of those stressors are not there. So it's something that allows you to handle daily, no problem. So I think the biggest thing is, maybe we can't work the weight room the same. We can still do some body weight stuff. We can manipulate some workouts, but it's still not going to be the same. You're not going to be able to truly impact strength and power the same as you would otherwise. Maybe more in a unilateral fashion, which is maybe a good thing right now. But the biggest thing you can do is just sprint, jump, and throw. And I've seen many articles and things in the past just talk about not even from a lockout, but just a normal day-to-day, normal season, normal game is people having injuries. And some people started to get scared of sprinting maximally because they didn't want to have these injuries. But then they started to realize that, hey, if we don't challenge the body and sprint maximally, then we're going to have these injuries. Because if we don't do it in our training and then we go into a game and it's going to be 100%, we're competing, we're going to be doing some pretty chaotic things. That's when it's going to happen. So we have to address it. We have to put the body in the stressor, make it adapt to that stimuli. That way it can handle that stressor more often.
Yeah, and that's great. And I think that's where we're trying to actually physically do the stuff you're after, the jumping. And I know basketball courts now are closed. You can't go to the basketball court. You can't do this. But you know what? You can go to the wall, stand out there, put your arm up, and do some rim jumps. Just do 5 to 10 maximum punches, left and right side, jump, broad jump, broad jump to vertical jump. There's different things you can do reactive wise that are essential to do. My baseball guys, baseball and softball, for example, think about right now, if you're in your season, typically, how much are you throwing throughout the week? And now on your own, looking over the last 7 days, how much have you thrown? And yeah, it's nice to have a break, let things recover. We're pushing always that you guys need to. This year-round stuff is too much. However, if you don't start making sure you're stabilizing the shoulder, building that posterior chain, working on the bicep to help with the deceleration, really protecting the elbows, things like that to go into it, or just your throws mechanics, set that camera up in front of you and work with it. What's going on with your elbow? Is it in the right spot? What's happening with your throw? My quarterbacks, anybody. Looking at some of the things that you can work on technique right now are so important because, we've got a lot of good coaches. We're not trying to bash on coaches or anything, but we also know coaches are excited about, man, the season's in. Once it gets let loose, you may have an abbreviated season. So we've got to get as much in as we can. Well, if that athlete isn't prepared and ready to go on day one, and now even though the coach has been sending information out, here's your workouts, here's stuff you've been doing. Bobby's been putting some great stuff on Instagram and stuff on how to do things with body weight and with what else you guys been using, like water jugs and whatever you can.
Yeah.
It's been real creative, which has been great. Jumping drills, getting that positioning going in. But if you're not doing that, the coach thinks maybe you are because he's been sending stuff, and now you go full on, it's time to go. You're the one that's going to be on the sidelines that's hurt, and you can't play now. And you've been waiting months to get out there, and now in the first week, you're the one with the ruptured Achilles or your rotator cuff you've tore because now you're throwing too much, you're not ready for it. So those are the things we just, we're not trying to scare you about it, but in a little bit I am, because I want you to realize you've got to step up and on your end as an athlete, do some things. I mean, look at some of the videos we're putting out. Bobby's got some good things going out on strength training and movement and body positioning. I just did one today that went out on box drills on progressions, give you an idea of jumping to it to position before you just go into big depth jumps. What you really want to do and how to get ready for it. But keep in mind, I think, and then the coaches need to understand this too, is you're sending things out with good intentions. You're writing workout programs. You're putting stuff out there. But just like the teachers, I mean, they're doing online things for you, but they also realize there's a lot of you not doing it.
Yeah.
Or you're kind of doing some or not. And when it's time to see your friends and get back with your team, you're going to be excited and ready to go. Hate to have you hurt out there. So I think there's some essential stuff on that. Just like I think, look back at some of our series we've had on snap down series, where you snap down, pause, explode, snap down without the pause and explode, snap down into a broad jump, just progress and go in. Don't go crazy. If you haven't done anything the last 2 weeks, that doesn't mean go out and run sprints on the hill. You've got to get your body prepared, looking at it.
And a good little progression on that. If you are trying to get back into sprinting, maybe do some tempo work. So maybe you do go up a hill, but maybe you're going through a jog pace, and then another time you're going through a run pace, and then you're going at like a semi-sprint, and you're kind of progressing yourself up to it to allow that tissue tolerance and that adaptation phase.
Yeah, and that's where Nebraska was fartleks, but you could whatever you call it. You do a walk so much, you jog so much, you sprint so much, but your sprints, keep them real short, a couple seconds, and it's great. Don't try and right out the gate do a 6-second sprint, because you're digging in, and for that length of time, if the muscle's not ready to go, that's when they cramp or tear, and that's not what we want. So shorter things to build up your intensity. Understanding if you're getting ready for soccer or football, working on 3-mile, 6-mile runs is probably not what you need to be doing to get some base stuff, but it's a jog and sprint. You got to go for that. And again, most of those plays only last 2 or 3 seconds, and then it's back to a jog or walk and then go back. So let's build that heart rate, extend it up and back down and push yourself to that point. But maybe that workout is 6 or 8 minutes long, which sounds like nothing, but you jog and you sprint, you jog and you sprint for 6 to 8 minutes. That's a darn good workout. You're going to get a lot of stuff into it. Working range of motion, working the high knees, all those kind of things I think are a big part. What are some of the things coaches maybe when they, obviously they're sending things out and workouts, but they get them back day one. What are some of the things, maybe that baseball coach or the football coach or whatever they're working with that wants to work some conditioning? Are there some key things maybe they need to watch for or maybe not get into too quickly?
I've heard this conversation a lot through college coaches, high school coaches, and a lot of people. And first off, there's been a lot of talk about trying to push the envelope as far as, and when I say college and high school coaches, I mean strength coaches that are trying to push the envelope to where hopefully they can allow an 8-week time frame before competition starts. That's something that's been really starting to make some noise here and there. I know some of the NHSSCA coaches in Arizona have a thread that we've been talking about some things like that, and they've been talking about some college coaches speaking on that subject as well. So hopefully that's something we can get going forward. That's going to be tough though, because sports and administration rule all, and they're going to be ready to get back to normal. So that's going to have to be a battle there. Do we want to push it right away and then have a lot of injured kids under our scope, or do we want to wait a little bit? But with that said, I know a lot of coaches are, what was your question again?
Well, yeah, no, just really, I mean, you're day one on those coaches getting all those kids back.
Yeah.
See how much he listens to me.
So it could be, I think they're going to have to keep their head on a swivel and adapt to the situation and not be frustrated. I would say expect the worst and maybe start on the lower end of where you think they need to be, because you can always meet them up to halfway. If you start up high, then go down, you're going to run into some issues. So I think try to start it short. And then if they're looking pretty good, maybe that day you creep it up a little bit more. But I think more like the tortoise rather than the hare in this situation. And just take time with it. So, maybe some of your conditioning is going to be more tempo runs and stuff like that for a time period. Or something I've even thought about with summer camps is, maybe I probably won't have anything real reactive and chaotic for a few 3-4 weeks, because I'll probably have most of their running stuff be individual, where there's not a lot of competition, because that's going to decrease the intensity of the drill. More cone drills, because that decreases the intensity rather than mirroring somebody or something like that. Or I even saw another coach doing some walk into sprints just to help gauge and work on this. So there's a lot of tools, but I think definitely start on the lower end. You can always creep up in a day and just use your coach's intuition.
Yeah, and I think, coaches, our job is to help the kids become their best and win, and all these things are great. But I think there's going to be a lot of teams that need to really look, and I hope the athletic directors and leagues are really telling them, this year, let's just get the athletes playing again and active and working on skills, and let's get it back. Sure, we still want to win and want to get better, but that's where the evaluation, it's kind of like we do when the kids come into our program, whether they're just brand new starting with us, or we haven't seen them since last summer camp, and now it's been 8 months or so since we've seen them. We want to do some base things. We're trying to see mobility, where they're at, where are they prone to injury, how they do some of these snap down explosive tests that we do with our ACL testing to see who's prone to it. So we have them do, a just simple snap down, and have them do a squat. How can they squat with just body weight? Do you have a knee buckle? Do they have, as they go down, they jump and land, their knees roll forward and the heels come up? We know they've got a tendency to have some things happen. So that helps us go right away. You know what? I had this plan A workout. If they're all in shape, we're going to do this. However, I've got a lot of them that just aren't landing correctly. They're not in shape. They're not ready to go. So you know what? We're going to go to plan C, because we've got, at this point, we've got to get mobility there. We've got to teach them mechanics again of running. We've got to work on our base strength. We've got to make sure they're eating right. Let's emphasize that for the first 2 weeks to really build a base, get some things going. But understanding out of my group, who's prone to injury? If we look at it that, because I've preached it for 30 plus years, a job of a strength coach to me is to help cut down on injuries. Yes, it's always about performance, and we never go easy, because our whole thing is just keep them safe. But mechanics, every time we do a drill, whether it's a 4-corner drill or anything, we're always concentrating, and some say a little obsessed. When we get to that drop and we're decelerating from that sprint and changing into a shuffle, that we hit the right mechanics. We're dropping hips, not doing it with a straight leg. We're not buckling a knee. We're exploding with power and not hopping up and down, but getting control of the body. And that's where Bobby said, let's do some things with cones first to figure out mechanics. When we hit, are we going wide and getting lazy leg? Are we creating power going to the side? Are we bouncing up and down? Then we start getting that, and we see the kids are moving better. And we bring in the competitive, because as soon as you bring another guy in and they're mirror drill, what happens? One, nobody wants to get beat by the other guy. So they're going to dig and go harder and push. And if they're not ready, they're not mobile, they tear a groin or something happens with a bad movement, that's on you.
It's no longer a controlled atmosphere. So just maybe go controlled or before you go uncontrolled. So
yeah, I think it's big. So watch some of the videos we're going to put out through our Instagram pages and Facebook and things. I've got one, like I said, a progression that we did today on box drills, progression into it. I'm going to have another one. I think tomorrow we're going into our snap down. What do we do? Look for potential injuries. What do we look for? I'll take you through some of the mobility things I look for, jump, squat, landings, body positioning before you go to the next point of really exploding speed. And then we'll get into some of the other combinations of some broad jumps and broad jump to vertical jump, those type of things. So we'll put those in. And like we always do, as you comment or send things into the email, strengthofamerica@gmail.com, just ideas. If you don't want to post in front of everybody and see it, just email me. It's fine. We'll put some videos, happy to do it. And then so you can see what type of things. But I think it's a time we all need to take a look at. We're all doing it already are we down the right path? Are we doing what we need to? Some of them are taking their weight rooms and revamping. Some of them are restructuring their warm-ups or, whatever it might be. It's a time to reset and kind of let's look at it. Same for you athletes. You want to get better. Well, what have you done so far in this time frame? And you may have another 4 weeks or better before you can get to your coach. What are you doing right now to get there? You said you wanted to be a state champ. You said you wanted to do this. You want to make the starting lineup. In the last 2 weeks, how much have you run, jumped, thrown, done some activities to help you prepare and get ready for what's coming with coach? Good?
got it.
Awesome. Got it. All right. Bobby's talked out. We did some other stuff earlier. All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you following, keeping it up. For those of you that haven't already checked into it, take a look at with the YouTube page. We've got a section, football performance. So we're taking specifically for you guys coming up, knowing the season's coming and you've already missed spring ball and spring training. But what kind of things could you do to get ready? We're going everything from how to eat for football, overtraining potential problems, lifting for younger kids. Is it okay or not? Junior high and high school, what should you do? Bobby's got some great videos on breaking down the lifts that you should be doing and specific things, progression, and get ready for it. Then we break down like the football combine tests, how to get better on your 40, how to increase your starts, get better on that, how to work your vertical jump, broad jump, your pro agility, how to test correctly for upper body power using the medicine ball. And then we're going to throw some more drills in there to help you too. So make sure you're on that, subscribe to the page, hit the bell for notification. And I guess I'm talked out for this one. We'll see you this next time. We'll look for some new stuff. That's hard to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, good. Oh, last thing, we're not done yet. May 2nd. We've got our clinic coming up. We're going to put some things out specifically for you guys so you can get involved with our group of awesome strength and conditioning coaches. Bobby's actually done some things with them in the past. So we're going to have some links for you so you can learn more about them and what you're doing. This was going to be a presentation with all of them, but of course with the virus now, we're doing it through Zoom. So we'll have that link so all of you guys can take advantage of it. Parent, coaches, athletes,
and it's
anybody.
through the NHSSCA, National High School Strength and Conditioning Association. So
Yeah.
something that they're putting on, and it's a state clinic for Arizona. So it'll be some fun content from various strength coaches. So make sure you check that out or tune in or ask questions if you want to know a little bit more.
Yeah, and if you just want to hear us talk a little more.
Yeah, it's a free event. So
all right, good. All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.
See ya.